This lady, she's a little concerned about my intentions, I think. So this is the first piece of my chicken puzzle. This is a coop that I built. This was all out of reclaimed wood that was from a deck. It was all treated boards, and I took this stuff and I ripped it and turned it into a really nice chicken coop. This thing is 4x6, so 24 square feet of coop space. The nest boxes you can get to from the outside. So here are my nest boxes. We've got a chicken that's utilizing one right now. There are 6 nest boxes. They typically only use 2 or 3. I like the fact that they're accessible from the outside, so I don't have to get into the coop to get the eggs. That would be kind of a pain every day. So I really like that setup. This thing was super easy to build. I did not have any set of plans or anything. I went to Tractor Supply and looked at, I was actually going to buy one of their coops, and their coop was like 3 foot by 4 foot. It was $1,000 almost. It was not made out of super heavy duty lumber. And I felt like, man, I think I can do better. So I put this thing together in a matter of a couple of weeks. I did have to buy windows. I bought the windows for air circulation. It can get really hot here in Oklahoma, and I think they need a way to get some air. I also put a little vent in the door to also allow a little pass-through air. Now let's look inside here. So we've got a little access to our chicken run area. There is a roosting area for the chickens in here. This lady, she's a little concerned about my intentions, I think. I did run electric into the coop. We had a close by electric pole, so I dropped down and brought electric into the coop. I did this primarily to utilize a heat lamp if needed. I've actually never needed to use it, but I'm glad that it's there. You know, in Oklahoma, we don't often get super duper cold weather, but you know, every couple of years we'll hit a single digits day where, you know, it may last for 2 or 3 days with a 40-mile-an-hour wind, and I just wanted to make sure I could keep my chickens comfortable. The most important thing about your coop is it needs to be absolutely impenetrable by varmints. In my experience, if you allow a varmint to get in once, for whatever reason, they go tell their buddies, and everything in the world likes to mess up a chicken. And you will have a varmint problem from that point on. And they will find the smallest, most inconspicuous space to get through to get to your chickens. And so I absolutely recommend that your coop be built bomb-proof. It needs to be built to the level of varmint that you have. Here in southern Oklahoma, we deal with coyotes, possums, skunks, raccoons, feral dogs, bobcats. And so our level of protection is really based around those kind of species. You know, if you're in Colorado, you may need to protect your chickens from black bear, you know, lynx. I don't know if lynx are in Colorado, but mountain lion, who knows? So you may have to build yours to a different level of specification than mine, but just keep that into consideration when you're building your coop. The next area is going to be your chicken run. So our chickens are pretty much let out every single day, but it's nice to have an area to keep them locked, to keep them pinned up. You know, if you're going to go on a little weekend vacation or something, it's kind of nice to be able to not worry about them, you know, getting out and having a place where they can, you know, get some sunshine, peck around a little bit, and not feel cooped up. So I want to show you the construction of this little chicken run. It is 16 by 16. What I used treated lumber, and it's I used for the beams here. They're 12-foot beams, and I cemented them down into the ground. And this thing is double wrapped. It's wrapped with horse panels, which is then wrapped with 1 inch welded wire. Another important thing is I dug a 1-foot trench all the way around the run. And the run, it was, I concreted that. I put the horse panels down 1 foot deep, and I concreted the horse panels into the ground. And that's going to keep, you know, things like coyotes from digging under and getting into my pen. It was a lot of work, took a lot of time, but nothing has even attempted to dig under my chicken run. I put a little bit of these poly panels up for shade. Ideally, I would have a nice big shade tree or something. This is where I wanted to put my pen for several reasons. It's close to water, it was close to electricity, and it was protected by our garden fence. This is kind of like a pen within inside a pen, and so I really wanted it right here. So I did plant a tree that will, I mean, this thing has grown tremendously just in the last year. It's a Chinese pistache tree, which is supposed to be a good shade tree and grows very quickly. But because of that, I did put those poly panels up to provide some shade. I also used one of these shade cloths to wrap over the top. Those things are about $100. I bought mine from Tractor Supply, and it's provided really nice shade for the chickens. Chickens can overheat. They can also, you know, freeze to death, and so you want to make sure and take the precautions for your area so that they're as comfortable as possible. In my area, I feel like chickens are more susceptible to heat than they are cold, and so we went to pretty great lengths to protect them from the heat and the direct sunlight. So all in all, what I would suggest is that you spend plenty of time designing your coop. Make sure that you have easy access to your eggs. Make sure that coop is bomb-proof. You do not want varmints to get in there. Design that coop so that it is protective against the level of predator in your area. I do recommend a chicken run area so that you can, you know, go on a little weekend getaway and not have to worry about, you know, your chickens being cooped up in a small space and then get bored and start picking on each other. One other thing that I would like to mention is inside my run, I actually built a pen within inside a pen. And this is so that we can raise baby chicks and introduce them slowly into the flock. So these are chicks that I purchased in March of this year. So they spent the first month or so in one of the barns in a cattle trough growing. And then once the weather kind of turned nice and we were able to get them outdoors, we put them in this pen. And this gets the other chickens used to them. They see them every single day. They're also, they have more room to move around. And I think that's pretty important if you plan on introducing chicks. Having this little additional chicken run area has been super nice to be able to separate some and, you know, keep the big, more aggressive chickens away from them for a period of time. I did also build a small coop for these. This little coop, it was again built out of just reclaimed lumber. It's the roof is on a hinge so that I can easily get down in here. I put a little nest roosting bar in here so they can get in here out of the weather if they want to. Our chickens, for whatever reason, they prefer to roost outdoors. And I put these metal poles across the top, and I would say that 90% of the time they're outside roosting. It takes really cold weather or a lot of rain to make these guys get inside, but they do have the option. They get to choose where they sleep. So anyway, that's just a quick rundown of what it takes to keep your chickens safe, happy, and healthy. We will go into what it takes to raise up your chicks in another video. Thank you. See you guys later.